Gavin.
Here.
Councilmember Hennon.
Here.
Councilmember Patterson.
Here.
Councilmember Villani.
Here.
Mayor Dean.
Here. Our first item of business is to approve the agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Gavin with support from Councilmember Villani. Are there any changes or corrections? Seeing none, Ms. Patterson, will you please call the roll?
Excuse me. Dooley,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Villani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We've now come to the portion of the meeting where you may present your thoughts on issues that are not included on tonight's agenda. Council members will not engage you in discussion. Please direct your comments to the chair. Please refrain from cheering, booing, clapping, or speaking out of turn. If your concern needs to be addressed by a member of city staff or a department of the city, please leave your name and contact information on the sheet on the table just outside this door. You may speak on a specific agenda item when it is being considered. When you come to the microphone, please state your name and city of residence. You have 3 minutes. Seeing no one coming to the microphone, Ms. Patterson, have you received any correspondence to be entered into tonight's record?
I have Lauren DeLega of Franklin emailed to urge council to quickly make a decision on the ban on retail sales of dogs and cats. She said it has been 3 months without an ordinance. She would like the passage of a full ban on retail sales of cats and dogs.
Thank you. Okay. Closing public comments at 7:03-ish. Ms. Mitchell, or Ms. Patterson, will you please read the items on tonight's consent agenda?
Item 1, approval of the minutes. Matter of approving the minutes of the 39th regular city council meeting on Monday, June 5th, 2023. Item 2, warrant. Matter of approving warrant number 1387. Item 3, motion number M42-23. Matter of appointing Public Works Director Sean Young as the City of Berkeley's representative and Assistant Director of Public Works Robert Chalmers as the alternate representative to the Southeastern Oakland County Resource Recovery Authority, SOCRA, Board of Trustees for the fiscal year ending on June 30th, 2024, and instruct the city clerk to send a copy of this motion to the SOCRA board. Item 4, motion number M4323, matter of appointing Public Works Director Sean Young as the City of Berkeley's representative and Assistant Director of Public Works Robert Chalmers as the alternate representative to the Southeastern Oakland County Water Authority, SOCWA, Board of Trustees for the fiscal year ending on June 30th, 2024, and instruct the city clerk to send a copy of this motion to the SOCWA board. Item 5, proclamation number P22-23, matter of proclaiming July 2023 as Parks and Recreation Month.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Support.
Motion made by Councilmember Baker with support from Councilmember Patterson. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, Ms. Patterson, please call the roll.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Villani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dooley,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes, the consent agenda has passed. Ms. Patterson, will you please read item number 1 on tonight's regular agenda?
Item 1, recognitions presentations. Matter of any recognitions or presentations from the consent agenda.
I've asked Mayor Pro Tem Gavin to read proclamation P2223.
Thank you, Your Honor. A proclamation of the Council of the City of Berkeley, Michigan, proclaiming July 2023 as Parks and Recreation Month. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout the country, including the City of Berkeley, and whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our community, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And whereas Parks and Recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for individuals with mental or physical disabilities, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas Parks and Recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas Parks and Recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of the community, assisting in preserving green space, providing vegetative buffers from development, producing a habitat for wildlife, and mitigating stormwater runoff. And whereas the use of the city's parks and recreation has proven to be paramount in keeping the community physically, mentally, and emotionally healthy. And whereas the city of Berkley recognizes the outstanding benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now, therefore, the Council of the City of Berkley hereby proclaims, Section 1, that the month of July 2023 is hereby proclaimed as Parks and Recreation Month in the City of Berkley, and City Council encourages all citizens to celebrate healthy, active lifestyles by enjoying their choice of the fantastic park locations here in the City of Berkley. Section 2, that the City Council extends gratitude and recognizes the City of Berkley Parks and Rec Department for their outstanding work in providing the community with recreation opportunities during the COVID-19 pandemic and their continued success in maintaining and adding to the city's beautiful park locations. Proclaim this 19th day of June, 2023, at a regular meeting of the Berkley City Council. Bridget Dean, Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Patterson, please read item number 2 on tonight's agenda.
Motion number M4423, matter of approving the purchase of official Woodward Dream Cruise merchandise to be sold at various locations during the month of August at a cost not to exceed $28,000. Funds for this expenditure will come from account 614-915-818-000.
Is there a motion to approve M4423?
So moved.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Gavin with support from Councilmember Baker. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and members of council. Every year, our Parks Recreation staff does a ton of work on Dream Cruise and Cruise Fest, and this year is no exception. They coordinate the purchasing of these things. They make sure that they coordinate the delivery of this apparel. They wrap up at the end of the night. They collect money. They make sure it's properly accounted for. And so this is one of the ways in which we support the various groups that commit to selling the stuff, but it really does happen on the backs of Teresa and her staff.
Thank you. Ms. McCarlton, would you like to add anything?
I think the city manager summed it up pretty well. This happens every year, and 2023, we don't see being any different. We'll purchase t-shirts again. Again, the expenditure is up to $28,000. We have not spent that much over the last several years. Basically, we put in an initial order. We try to be pretty conservative with that, and then see how shirts are selling and purchase some additional from there. We do sell the entire week before actually Cruise Fest and Dream Cruise happens. We now only have one location for that pre-week, and then on Cruise Fest night, we have two different locations, both downtown and then at 12 Mile and Woodward, and then we sell all day on Saturday of Dream Cruise.
Thank you. Any public input on this agenda item? Discussion from council? Councilmember Baker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for bringing this to us again this year. If memory serves, we usually break even before Dream Cruise even starts. Do you anticipate anything being different this year?
No, I mean, that's the goal, right? Which is, again, why we try to keep the number that we purchase up front pretty conservative. Typically, by the Wednesday or Thursday before, we've broken even. Thursday has always been historically probably the biggest night that we've sold. Not sure what's to account for that, but a lot of people are out buying on Thursday, but we typically break even by Wednesday or Thursday.
So then everything after that is just additional revenue coming in?
Correct. And then the way that it functions is that half of the profit of what's made is then distributed to the community groups, and the city keeps the other half.
Right, to reinvest
To
for the
recoup
next year.
costs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great, thank you. Here's to another successful season.
Councilmember Hennon.
Yeah, if a volunteer group wanted to participate and help with the sales to, then also help with their own funding for their organization, who would they contact? How would they go
Yeah,
about that?
so the best thing it would be, it's easiest for them to contact me first, obviously, as an employee of the city. So sending an email to myself, obviously my email is listed on the city's website, Teresa McCarlton, it's tmccarlton@berkleymish.net. They can call the community center. So we have this year a couple new community groups that are interested in selling. For the last several years, or the last more than several, but a very long time, there's been a lot of community groups that have remained the same. There are some new groups that are interested in this also being a fundraiser for them. So they can contact me, and then actually we have a couple meetings left before the final schedule is made in terms of who sells. So the city manager and I then can take those community groups to the committee, and then we can discuss from there what nights work and get them trained if they're interested in doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the committee meets tomorrow evening. I definitely plan to have that as a topic of conversation to take to that committee, is making sure that everybody has a chance to get an opportunity to sell and fundraise for their community group.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Patterson, will you please call the roll on M 4423?
Pinnan,
Yes.
Patterson.
Yes.
Malani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dooley,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. Motion number M 4423 has passed. Ms. Patterson, will you please read item number 3 on tonight's agenda?
Item 3, motion number M 4523, matter of approving the appointments to various boards and commissions.
Is there a motion to approve M 4523?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Julie with support from Councilmember Patterson.
Hannah.
Sorry, Hennan. Mr. Baumgarten?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you know, and many at home may not, a number of our boards and commissions have their groups. Their members have a handful that change over every year. This tends to be along with the fiscal year on the 1st of July. So for the meeting in advance of that, we like to bring forth as many of these reappointments and new appointments as possible. This is an incomplete list. We're still working with some of our community groups to try to figure out, who's interested in standing for reappointment, who some new and interested people might be in serving the mission of those boards and commissions. But we do have several to come before you this evening. I can go through them. Some of them are reappointments and some of them are new appointments, as said. So first up is our Beautification Advisory Committee, Mr. Gary Elrod, an appointment for a new term expiring in July of 2026. Taylor Beach, also an appointment expiring in July of 2026. Board of Review, I believe we're going to pause that one due to some questions on residency. But it is included in your packet, but I wanted to note that. Downtown Development Authority, Scott Francis, our district superintendent, is up for reappointment to a term expiring in July of 2027. This is an at-large position. Our DDA is broken up into 3 general categories, at-large, Coolidge, and 12 Mile. The school district has maintained a seat as the at-large for its entire history. So Scott Francis will be continuing to serve in that regard. Christine Gross, representing 12 Mile, for a reappointment into July of 2027. And then Brian Zifkin, also representing 12 Mile, will be a reappointment to a term expiring in July of 2027. Each of those comes to you by way of the DDA's Board of Trustees, who all recommended these individuals to you. Next up, Historical Committee. You've got several here. Sue Richardson for a reappointment. Jeff Tong for a reappointment. Glenn Elan Rugbite, did I say that right?
Yep.
Close enough, hopefully.
Close enough.
For a reappointment as well. MC Mueller for a reappointment as well. And then Mr. Clarence Black for an appointment to his first term. That will be expiring in July of 2026. So again, strong committee, a group that has been together for a very long time. We handed Mary Catherine one of our longest serving volunteer awards at our celebration of our volunteers last month here. For the library board, Carol Herman, reappointment to a term expiring in July of 2028. Next up, our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, Melissa Hammond for a reappointment, Miss Betty Smith for a reappointment, John Nicolai for a reappointment, and then 2 new individuals, and I hope I'm saying this name correctly, Daniel Turbrack, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, and then Andrew Boring, who in addition to being a resident here is also on our police department as well, our public safety department. So 2 new faces, but some that are certainly familiar to us And Dan Turbrack, in addition to his mayor position as council member and mayor, actually began his public service career as a member of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board too. So it's a homecoming of sense for him. Planning Commission, we have Mr. Joe Bardis and Mr. Michael Woods, both for reappointments and terms expiring in July of 2026. And then 2 new members, Colin Frink and Josh Stapp, both for filling partial terms, both expiring in July of 2025. One to fill now Councilman Patterson's former seat, and then one to fill the seat vacated by Mateo Pastelacqua as well. Next up, we've got the Tree Board as well. Tricia Losi, reappointments, who's, again, a fantastic member who's been very, very active. And then Mr. Gary Elrod, again, who committed to several different ones, so we're happy to see him proposed for a Tree Board membership as well. That appointment would be expiring in July of 2026. So that is the slate before you this evening, Mayor.
Thank you. Any public input on the slate of new additions to our boards and commissions? Questions or comments from council members?
I just have one comment. First, I want to thank all of these applicants for coming forward. Serving on our boards and commission has taught me a lot. When I served on them, you get to meet some really, really great people, so I think the legacy will continue. Not that I left a legacy, but the work will continue on these boards and commissions, and seeing it from council's view, and now how much we appreciate all of our boards and commissions and all of our volunteers. So thank you to all of those that applied, and hopefully we'll get this.
Thank you. Yes, Councilmember Baker.
Thank you. Yeah, echoing the sentiments there, and it is quite an amazing ensemble of talent from across the city. And I have heard that, like, folks, if they were to seek running for office at some point down the road, that this might be a good on-ramp for them. So I'd like to thank Mr. Dan Turbark for his desire to to begin his public role here and see if he might get the hang of this thing someday.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Congratulations in advance.
All right, I see Mr. Joshua Stapp here. I would just like to personally congratulate you and thank you for agreeing to be a planning commissioner. It's all of our boards and commissions are important. Planning's gigantic. So thank you very much. And if anyone else is here that I've missed, I apologize. Okay, I don't think I have. All right. Ms. Patterson, would you please call the roll on M4523?
Patterson,
Yes.
Valani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dooley,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hinnon,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes, the motion has passed. Ms. Patterson, would you please read item number 4 on tonight's agenda?
Item 4, motion number M4623, matter of approving updates to the City of Berkeley's fee schedule effective July 1st, 2023.
Is there a motion to approve M4623?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Hannan
Support?
with support from Councilmember Patterson. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you. Behind property taxes and state and federal shares of revenue, charges for services is the 3rd largest source of revenue for the city. A lot of those charges come from the document that you see in front of you proposed to be updated. This covers, it's a comprehensive document. It covers all of our departments and each of the fees that they charge in order to supplement or basically cover the cost of the fees that are enjoyed by single individuals instead of the broad range ones that are enjoyed for things that are covered by their tax dollars. So it's a combination of these things that keep the cities going. You'll see included in this is a redlined copy of the proposed fee schedules, as well as some of the background memos that we receive from different departments and have made available to council as well. Most of this has been discussed in the course of the budgeting conversations. We talked about the need for revenues. We talked about the need for updating and being more equitable in the way that we allocate our fees to our residents. And so you'll see that reflected in the memos from our department directors as well. We also have the directors of Community Development, Public Works, and Parks and Recreation available to answer questions as well.
Thank you. Any public input on this agenda item? Discussion or comments from council?
No, Ray.
Councilmember Hennon.
Yes. First, there's a few corrections I think we need to
Okay.
make. the two easy ones. First, page 18, library fees. I think it's 18. Yeah. There's $1 for movie rentals. We don't charge for movie rentals anymore, so that should be struck. Page 22, Public Works. We have under free services the chipper route. Well, we don't have a chipper route anymore, so after this month. So that one should be stricken as well. Then community development, we all got a memo
Yes.
earlier this afternoon with some errors that were there and the correction. So I'd suggest we bring that in, that correction in. And then a question for the city manager. You know, we're going to start charging for bag tags, and the chipper route is ending. Have we, you know, it's well known on social media, but for the people that aren't on social media, has it been conveyed to them? Have we, you know, sent any cheap postcards or letters, just anything out?
It's part of the plan, but it's not been initiated yet. We've updated the website as well. Like I said, the social media as well. We plan for email updates as well. But we need to have like a physical document to put in people's hands too. So we are trying to run every different possible alleyway down and try to get to as many people as possible before this. But we do know these charges like this, changes like this are difficult, and there is going to be an adjustment period no matter what we do. So even if it's on-site documents that as our haulers are going through and they're either marking that they couldn't pick them up, and then we'll follow up with a paper noting the changes, or if they can leave them on site too. One of the ways we're going to try to reach everyone we possibly can. We are working with the cities. We have a firm that's supplementing the work that the vacant Director of Communications position used to do. And so I know Director Young has met with them, as is members of his staff, to try to come up with different ideas of conveying this. But to answer the question succinctly, no, we have not mailed postcards yet.
Okay. One thing I'd like to propose for us is I've seen a flurry of activity in this past, especially this past week. People trying to get, you know, under the wire the last bag things and get things out for the chipper. And so for the people on social media, they know it's coming. That won't really be fair to those that aren't on social media and just suddenly, you know, it's like, well, if I would have known last month, I would have put my stuff out. So what I'm proposing is because of the delays in the communications that didn't go out already, that we delay the bag fees and until August 1st, and we do one more chipper route in August, so that it's equitable for, you know, everybody, not just for those that have an online presence and are able to see what's been going on.
Do we know what the financial impact of that would be?
Exactly. Join the conversation. Your thoughts and comments on this?
I can see both sides of that. We've had a lot of communications already go out with the July 1st deadline, so moving it to August, it may make it a little more confusing. You know, typically what we see, if we put a mailer in a water bill, it gets thrown away. Door hangers, they ignore a lot of them. I don't know if there's really a good way to hit everybody. Social media seems to hit a lot of them, but I know it doesn't hit, especially the seniors that
Right.
signed it.
Right.
Go either way on that one. I hate to backpedal, but if there's people that don't know what's coming,
But what would the financial impact of that be? If we've already made the adjustments to the budget, City Manager Baumgartner?
Yeah, I know we looked at that. I'm trying to pull up some of the background information we have. It was roughly $4,500 or so to run the tripper route each month. So it'd be about probably a $4,500 impact to the budget.
Could be some lost revenue with the
Bag
the
tags.
tax.
Sure.
But, you know, we have those ARPA funds, we have a little bit of breathing room. I would have preferred we had the communication out in a timely
Sure.
fashion. You know, that would have
Absolutely.
been the ideal, but that didn't happen. So, you know, now I'm trying to, and the people that probably are the most likely to struggle paying for this are the ones that are least likely to have been reached so far. And certainly, I know you know how many mailers we put out for the millage, and people still said they got nothing. So, but we can make the effort. That's the most we can do.
So you're proposing then to delay by a month, and based on that you believe this communication will go out from the city so that everybody will get notice
And I'd like to see that communication go out this week, if at all possible.
is that realistic, Mr. Baumgarten?
We could work with Sabo and probably have something out, at least put together. It may hit the mail this weekend or early next week, but we can at least probably get it to the post office in this week.
I'll add on one other additional thing. I don't think, you can't even buy the bag tags yet, right? They won't be available until, when will they be available for purchase?
Right, so they were delivered to, I know, City Hall today, because we already have some early interest in people purchasing them so they can be ready for that July 1 date. So we are set up to sell them
Okay,
as
so
of even
that,
tomorrow.
that part's covered. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with Councilmember Hennon's points on communication. I would temper that though with other departments did have to make very quick course corrections with closures, like the library closing on Saturdays and evenings, and there was almost no notice to those people, so it's possible they could have shown up on a Saturday and not had those services available to them. So I think we're in a slippery slope. I do agree with good communication is imperative, but I think we're in a slippery slope if we say, well, we're gonna delay for this group, but not this group, and even, like the $4,500 may not seem like a lot for ARPA funds, but how many Saturdays could we have kept the library open for $4,500?
And the first thing that came to my mind was, Berkeley
Yep.
that we cut funding for. So while I believe that the spirit in which you're doing this, I get it, and I understand where you're coming from. I wouldn't support it. We can do a straw poll. We can, if that's what folks would like to do. But I hear your frustration, and it's valid. We need to get that communication out ASAP. But I personally wouldn't support doing another chipper route, just based on everything that's been said and what came to my mind when you were discussing this. So,
Madam Mayor, if I can interject for a moment.
yes,
Judging by the amount of brush that's out in the chipper out right now, they got the message. The
We
volumes
took our
are,
tree down a month early.
okay.
the volumes are greatly increased this
Okay,
month compared
thank
to
you.
previous months.
Thank you. Again, I certainly applaud. And recognizing that many of the other departments wouldn't have that latitude to extend it a month. And then the confusing message of saying, oh, wait, no, now we're sending all this. Some people may not get that communication, and they hear they bought tags and they put stuff out in July with the purchase tag on it, then we'd have to create another kind of issue there too. I think I agree with the core point that the communication was poor. Structured to be more timely, but given that, I think this was the decision that was made, and I think for the
So, Councilmember Hennon, you did mention some changes to the fee schedule. Do we need to make a friendly amendment to include those, or can we,
I think we usually do friendly amendments for
Things
the three
like that.
changes that I proposed.
Okay.
Yeah. The library fee, the chipper route, removing that, and the community development memo.
and is that fine with you as well?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Young. Ms. Patterson, would you please call the roll on M 4623?
Oh, excuse me, Valani,
Yes.
Baker,
yes.
Dooley. Yes. Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
No.
Patterson,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. M 4623 has passed. Ms. Patterson, would you please read item number 5 on tonight's agenda?
Item 5, resolution number R 1623, Matter of considering a resolution approving a cooperation agreement with Oakland County to continue participation in the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, program for program years 2024 to 2026.
Is there a motion to approve R 1623?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Baker,
Support.
with support from Councilmember Hennan. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is purely re-upping our participation in this program. CDBG Community Development Block Grants are a federal program that are administered through Oakland County. And in this situation, we are together with several other communities who sort of pool our money in order to get a larger share of those dollars than we normally would. We are considered to be a non-entitlement community. So we band with other communities with that designation through Oakland County to the tune of about $38,000 a year, which we use to invest in projects that remove architectural barriers in the community, support Haven, and then also do large print books, and then partially fund some of our public services like snow removal for our seniors. So we put them to good cause. We would like to continue to participate in this program. The county did get, you'll notice the date in there is May 5th. I think it's a popular date because I just got another piece of correspondence today, also marked May 5th. Go out a little bit later than they intend, and not quite in smart territory, about a month later. So I did confirm with Oakland County that June 12th deadline indicated in the memo was set in advance, and that we will be able to still participate without penalty. And they worked with us on our council schedule. So that is why it's appearing to you on the 19th with a June 12th deadline. Just notices got out late from the county, but we would like to continue to put forth, this source of revenue back into our community, whereas we wouldn't normally be able to. And it's a 3-year agreement. So we'll have the opportunity to have the same conversation again, should council approve it.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about what does a non-entitlement community mean?
So there's a couple of different designations, and it's a bit difficult to track because it's a federal standard that they've had to provide broadly across the community. But you become an entitlement community based on a concentration of low to moderate income individuals, or there's a population factor, so one or the other. Berkeley has neither the population threshold that the feds look for, nor do we have the concentration of low to moderate income individuals. So that's why we still have non-entitlement status with them. But again, Oakland County being as wealthy as it is, we're not alone, and so, which is why combining with Oakland County under this program has been beneficial to us.
Thank you. Any public comment on this? Discussion or questions from council? Oh, Councilmember Baker.
Thank you. Feels like every year I say this, and it makes me proud and also very sad that we need to and continue to support Haven. I love their mission. They do tremendous work for those in need, and it's sad that we need to have an organization like that. But I'm very happy that we do dedicate some of this very limited funds to help keep their mission going.
Thank you, and I echo that. It is very important. They do very important work, and I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to contribute and support Haven in that way. Anyone else? Okay, Ms. Patterson, will you please call the roll on M 3723?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Would you please call the roll on M 3723?
47.
47.
Sorry.
We'll take that one.
Mine says 16.
No, it's R 1623.
1623.
She's ahead one.
None of us are
Wait,
right.
okay.
I think it starts
No,
with me.
I'm sorry.
Worried I had the wrong page in front of me. For resolution R 1623, Baker, Gavin,
Yes.
Finnan,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Valani,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. R 1623 has passed. Ms. Patterson, will you please read item number 6 on tonight's agenda?
Item 6, motion number M 4723, matter of authorizing the amendment of the 2022 to 2023 budget as presented.
Is there a motion to approve M 4723?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Patterson
Support.
with support from Mayor Pro Tem Gavin. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you very much. As you know, we do quarterly budget amendments in order to continue to update council and the community, our original estimations as we go through the budget process have fared. This would be the last budget amendments that we bring to you for the current fiscal year, which is the 22-23 fiscal year. So this is our best projection at how we'll finish the next 2 weeks and accounts for any outstanding invoices for materials or services that were encumbered during this fiscal year prior to the upcoming June 30th end of year. So we worked with Plant Moran, who is supplementing the work of our finance department right now. They put together this item covering our general fund, major local streets, solid waste fund, and then downtown development authority as well. In the enterprise fund, our water and sewer fund 592 as well. So basically, they went through each of the city's various funds, made updates based on those projections. Largely, this is based on projects either come in above or below, or a service was budgeted for, but we weren't able to follow through on, or things like odd things come up, like say overtime issues with some of our staff members, something like that. So this is pretty close to how we believe we'll end the year. These numbers, of course, have a safety measure to them as well. We try to be very conservative with our expenditure projections. So we'll know the true dollar amount when we audit this. That audit is scheduled for September, October. Then we'll be able to report back out with the audit report to know exactly down to the dollar where we finished in each of these funds. So this covers those projections.
Okay, thank you. Any public comment on the amendments to our budget? Discussion from, discussion or questions from council? Councilmember Hennon.
Yeah, so this is budget amendments for the current fiscal year that ends June 30. But hot topic right now is our next year's fiscal budget, and especially the leaf collection. That's the question everyone's asking about. Will we be addressing some of the questions on that in our first quarterly update to next year's budget?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I've been having good correspondence with people that have reached out and asked questions, because they're certainly seeing a side of the budget conversation, mostly encapsulated on Facebook. Maybe bleed over to some other social media platforms too. But yes, we'll continue to bring to council budget amendments that really help us dial in on what our projected costs will be, and of course for year. When we brought the budget to council for ask for your approval on May 15th, we had a sense that we'd be cutting back. We knew that we would be reducing our leaf collection program, but the exact numbers, even at that point, were unknown to us, because we were rehashing and basically turning the entire program on its head. Made it very difficult. We were in the ballpark estimate-wise of where we thought the reductions would come. We were still working out how we would still deliver a high-end service on the budget. So we'll be able to dial that in, the work that's happened since then. We've talked about how we plan to attack it, the best way to make sure that we're providing service, make sure that we have the streets cleaned up by the first snowfall for the issues that includes. What our staff picture looks like with retirements, including Mr. Zanich, and then also just how we plan to minimize overtime efforts, how we be as efficient as possible at that. So all that continues to come together, even as we're still a couple months out from the start of that program here. So all that to say, yes, we're dialing in on those numbers. We'll have some better ability to report out to that. Just information we didn't have at our fingertips on May 15th when we brought the initial budget forward to you. But it's a good example of how we use budget amendments. Is you learn more, you adjust.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Patterson, will you please call the roll on M 4723?
Dooley,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Maloney,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. M 4723 has passed. Ms. Patterson, will you please read item number 7 on tonight's agenda?
Item 7, closed session. Matter of considering convening in closed session at the conclusion of the regular meeting to discuss a confidential attorney-client privileged communication.
Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Support?
Motion made by Councilmember Baker with support from Councilmember Valani. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you very much. So we adjusted the wording here for clarity purposes. What this motion does is note that council will be moving into closed session after the adjournment of the regular meeting. So whereas we used to move the back end of the agenda around and then have this be the last action, and then we go right into that, this note specifically that we'll be doing that after the adjournment of the regular meeting. So the effect is the same, but we're able to keep communications and the adjournments intact. But after the end of this meeting, then we'll be moving into there. There'll be no reason for council to come back into this room in order to close out the regular meeting. That action is included in the phrasing on number 7 here, and then we'll be taken care of with the regular adjournment action that council takes already on the agenda.
Yes, Councilmember Baker.
Thank you. And just to clarify that no decisions will be made, there will be no votes taken. This is merely conversation to receive an update and that kind of thing. So no action will be taken tonight in the closed session. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Patterson, will you please call the roll on item number 7?
Gavin,
Yes.
Finnan,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Maloney,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. So just to be clear, council will move into closed session after the conclusion of our regular meeting. Communications. Ms. Patterson, where do we begin?
Councilmember Hennan,
Great. The tree board are off for the summer, so they'll meet next in September. 4 cases. 2 involved a second floor addition, and since they didn't increase the footprint in either case, they were allowed to do those. They had a interpretation and ruled that aesthetic and massage services are allowed in our office district. And so that will eventually be coming to the Planning Commission to now, since that interpretation's been made, to make it formally part of our zoning ordinance. And then finally, there was a request from Loom Marijuana for a sign that is larger than allowed by ordinance, and that one was denied. Their next meeting will be on Monday, July 10th. That's all.
Councilmember Baker.
That's me. Well, hello, everybody. I hope y'all had a safe, fun Father's Day weekend in whichever ways you choose to partake and celebrate. Our Downtown Development Authority, DDA, met on Wednesday, June 14th. And we certainly hope to see everybody at our next Berkley Pride Block Party coming up this Sunday, the 25th, from noon until 4 o'clock at Robina and 12 Mile. We expect some draft parking study recommendations by the end of June, so those should be coming along pretty soon for us to begin to consider. The Art Space Plaza, which is the official name of that cute little park there on Catalpa, just south of Catalpa on Coolidge by the high school. It's called Art Space. The grand opening of that will be the Street Art Fest Day, the same day as that, which is July 15th. So that'll be super fun too. The Berkley Outdoor Social Scene, aka the Boss. See, that's kind of cool. Has been approved by the state, so we're continuing to work through each of the participating businesses needs to likewise apply for the state approval. We anticipate having everything ready by the Cruise Fest in August, so that should be really fun as well. Lots going on here. Coolidge Complete Streets implementation bid was higher than we had anticipated, so they're looking to rework that a bit and cast the nets a little wider to see if we can get this work done here in this construction season. Downtown Berkley Farmers Market, 12 Mile in Robina again, continues to be every Thursday from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. And that'll be from June 1st until October 26th. And as if that wasn't enough, you can go to downtownberkeley.com for more. The Historical Committee met the day prior to that on Tuesday the 13th. The new edition of the Quarterly Museum Corner newsletter is available. This is one right here. It looks all snazzy. This is available at the museum, at the library, and at the desk of the city clerk here. The main headline on this is pizza. There's the fascinating story of Domenico's Pizzeria, which was the first one in Berkeley, 1953 on Coolidge by Wiltshire, which is actually where the Elaine's Bagels is now. That used to be the first pizzeria in Berkeley, called Domenico's, and so there's a neat article on that. Lots of good information. They even show the guy flipping the pie there, and it's a fun action shot. And so in the museum, there's going to be a photo display of the Berkeley history told through maps. So a collection of maps over time that shows the development of the community and shows the creating and the growth of our city going back to the 1800s. So if you want to do a little cartography, that'd be a good place to go. That display will be up until September. Visitors are always welcome. The museum is open Wednesdays from 10 to 1, excuse me, and Sundays from 2 to 4. And as if that wasn't enough, berkeleyhistory.com is the place to go. And finally, today is Juneteenth, and it was President Joe Biden who said, Juneteenth marks the long, hard night of slavery and subjugation and a promise of a brighter morning to come. It is a day of profound weight and power that reminds us of our extraordinary capacity to heal, hope, and emerge from our most painful moments into a better vision of ourselves. And as a country and as a city, we've really come a long way, and there's still quite a road ahead for us here. So please take a moment to learn more about this. It's our newest federal holiday, and let's continue to put our best foot forward and show that at Berkeley we really do care. And you can show you care by hugging somebody you love, because they need it. And thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Gavin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Environmental Advisory Committee, the next meeting will be tomorrow at 6:30 in the Public Safety Building. And then just a reminder, there will be no meeting in July. So the next one after this will be August 15th in the same location. Parks and Rec, a lot of good stuff going on at Parks and Rec. Senior Bingo on July 6th. You can register by calling Parks and Rec or online. The first Berkeley Beats concert of the summer season, Detroit Social Club, which is a blues, classical, soul, and Motown music, will be the 28th this month, June 28th at Oxford Park at 7 p.m. Community garage sale at Homes in Berkeley will end this weekend, the 23rd. Addresses and map are available online or at city buildings. The new JC Park Playground is nearing completion, and we'll have some more information on opening date in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. That'll be exciting. And then the next meeting for the Parks and Rec Advisory Board is August 10th at 7 p.m. in the Community Center. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Valani.
Short and sweet tonight. Technology Advisory Committee and the Citizens Engagement Advisory Committee have not had a meeting since our last council meeting, so no updates there. The Berkeley Area Chamber, the Street Art Fest, as Councilmember Baker alluded to, is coming up on July 15th from 11 to 5 on Coolidge. They are still accepting registrations for chalk artists and sponsorships. So if you're interested in that, go to berkeleystreetartfest.com. And if you are interested in becoming a t-shirt sponsor for Cruise Fest, the due date is July 14th, so you can reach out to Darlene at the Berkeley Chamber for more information.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Library Board, we meet this Wednesday, 6/21 at 7 p.m. in the big library room. If you are interested to register your youth or your teen for the summer reading program, which I'm sure just getting out of school they would all be very happy to sign up for, they can go to the library anytime during regular business hours and sign up. Library is closed on Saturdays through Labor Day. Starting July, they will close at 6 p.m. rather than 8 p.m. on Thursdays. And I would like to give a shout out to Library Director Matt Church. He put his and the line was around the building. We couldn't get our ice cream, so but they did a fantastic job. Kids running around, it was really great. So really a shout out to Matt for that. It was awesome. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Patterson.
The Planning Commission did not meet. We did not get our ice cream tonight, but the kids were having a lot of fun. It looked like they deserved it more than I needed. Next week, Planning Commission, the 27th, was canceled. So it looks like the next one will be in July 25th at 7 p.m. here in the chamber. So that is it.
Thank you. Mr. Baumgarten.
Thank you very much. Not much this evening. I did want to note that at our last meeting, there were two residents who came and we're looking for some follow-up from City Council or from staff. We did follow up with both those individuals. Mr. Hunter and I have been exchanging some emails. I met with Ms. Richards on the 9th, the Friday morning, morning of the 9th, to discuss a great many topics. about how the city works really hard to service its community, and about how, the struggles that we have in getting messaging across to people. One of the reiterated topics, and something we've struggled with for quite a while, just in general, and I know we're not alone, but, all the race and gender and orientation and age and all those demographics aside, we really struggle just to get some bandwidth with busy people. People that have a life, they've got a lot going on. The world is kind of hitting them with the fire hose at any given time, and we're trying to drop our few bits of water in there as well. So it's a continuous struggle. The work of the TAC and CAC, look forward to getting those groups back up and running, and look forward to locating a communications director that is up for the task of trying to break through all the noise and deliver solid information to our residents. So, but did want to report out that we've met with those. Those sign-up sheets do not go to waste, and we make every effort to reach out to the people and try to answer questions as they come up.
Thank you. Mr. Christ?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item. Last week, Wednesday, were oral arguments regarding the Oak Flint LLC's challenge to the City of Ferndale's decision regarding licensing the application. Those arguments were heard by the Michigan Court of Appeals. It's been briefed, so now the city will just await the decision of the Court of Appeals.
Thank you. I just want to give a shout out to everybody that worked on Art Bash, all the volunteers, the Chamber, April McCrum from Catching Fireflies, and I'm going to recognize Maureen Monty also because she really was the beginning, the seed planter with this way, way back in the day. And every year it gets bigger and better and enjoyable for not only our residents, but people from the surrounding communities. So thank you all for your hard work on another successful Art Bash. I'd like to congratulate all the graduates of the class of 2023, especially Cameron Knight, who is the recipient of the Berkley Scholarship for Public Service. So congratulations, Cameron. And I want to wish the best to city retirees Karen Endress and Kenny Ozanich, who both had their last days as city employees last Friday. I want to thank you for all your years of service and your dedication to the city. And finally, as our nation, state, and community commemorate Juneteenth today, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of this holiday in our collective history. It was on June 19th, 1865, that enslaved African Americans were finally freed in Texas, long after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. Juneteenth is an opportunity to celebrate freedom, resilience, and unity, to remember how far we have come and recognize how far we still have to go. It is a time to acknowledge the cruelty of slavery and oppression, as well as honor the individuals who endured and those who persevered to see its end. Thank you. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Okay, I'm calling it Henin and Volani. Ms. Patterson, will you please call the roll?
Patterson,
Yes.
Valani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dooley,
Yes.
Gavin,
Yes.
Hennon,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. The Monday, June 19th, 2023 meeting of the Berkeley City Council is adjourned.